believe that the gentleman sitting beside me doesn't really need a huge amount of introduction. He has been a familiar face on global politics for many a year. When our guest first became the Prime Minister of Hungary back in 1998, he was just 35 years old, the youngest ever European leader. And after a short time in opposition, he returned to the top job and has been there since 2010, 14 years, now the longest serving EU leader. So it is my great pleasure to welcome to the Antalya Diplomacy Forum the Prime Minister of Hungary, Mr. Viktor Orban. And I will be your moderator. My name is Melinda Nusofora. I'm a senior foreign correspondent at TRT World, based in Istanbul, originally from Australia, and it's my great pleasure to guide our discussion today. Mr. Prime Minister, Hungary and Turkey, your NATO allies, you also hosted President Erdogan in Budapest in December. How would you evaluate Turkey-Hungary relations?
Thank you for the invitation anyway. First of all, we have a long history of Turkey and Hungarian relationship. Very, very long. Hungary is the only country in Europe which member of Turkish Council. Turkish Council is a group for Turkish language-based societies, and Hungary is invited as observer. So we are part of the Middle Asian political life, quite closely involved. That's first. Second, President Erdogan has a special reputation in Hungary. In Hungary, strong leadership is still a positive term, unlike in the Western countries. In Europe, strong leader means something bad, just a step to Hitler, so it's a very German-based understanding of leadership. Europeans love more the institutions than the people, not the leaders, but the institutions. That's the second reason why Hungary is different, therefore we respect President Erdogan. And the third one is that, especially nowadays, there are only two countries, Turkey and Hungary, which speaks the language of peace. In the Western Hemisphere, everybody is speaking the language of war. So if you have an international meeting, Council meeting of European Union or NATO Council, whatever, everybody's about war, winning, victory, crush, kill Putin, or Putin must fail, regime change. So very aggressive and warlike language. The only exception is Turkey and Hungary. We are more oriented to the peace, therefore we are rather speaking the language of the peace.
Can you elaborate on that? How do you see Turkey and Hungary aligning? Europe is currently facing a war on its doorstep, so shouldn't leaders be talking about war?
Yeah, the question is, the war is a part of reality. So when we are speaking about the war is the war, but the question is what we would like to achieve. And we would like to achieve peace. So, plus, Hungary is a small nation, nobody's interested in that anyway. GDP is rather limited, the number of soldiers not comparable with like Turkey and so on. So what Hungary made interesting is rather the set of values, because it's a conservative country. And it's running out of fashion in the European Union. And Turkey is still a conservative stronghold. So there is a political meaning of God, nation, family, like in Hungary. This is the basic values of politics in Hungary and in Turkey as well. If you say it in Europe, you are in trouble. So you are considered as somebody from coming of middle age, and so it's very suspicious something. So that kind of set of values, respect, traditional respect to each other, which is the basis of peace, it's quite common in Hungary and in Turkey. So it's easier to negotiate with the leadership of Turkey at this moment than with those communities we belong to.
You think you see common values between your
Oh.
two cultures, two peoples?
Yeah, of course, yeah, of course.
You've taken a very unapologetically strong anti-immigration stance. What role do you see Turkey playing with regards to migration in Europe?
Okay. Migration is the most important question in Europe at this moment. First of all, I would like to approach from the Hungarian vantage point, from the Hungarian angle. So, can you imagine that you have a 10 million country, and let's say in 2015, just immediately, out of the blue, appearing 200,000-300,000 migrants on the border, don't respect the regulation at all and crossing the border. Physically, there was no border between Serbia and Hungary, and just running into the country, and you are not able to stop it. And you know, it's a totally chaos, unstable situation, public disorder, you know, it's like a war. And therefore, the question of migration in Hungary, it's not about the migrants. The question in Hungary about whether we do have the right to decide who we would like to live with, or somebody else will decide about it. This is the main discussion with Brussels, because the Brusselians think that migration is a good thing. So don't misunderstand the situation. In Brussels and in the major capitals, they think that migration is something which could deliver good things and can deliver something positive.
You don't believe that migration can ever deliver anything positive?
No, look at the experience. You know, it's not a theoretical issue. Public disorder is not a good thing. Crime is not a good thing. Uncontrolled border is not a good thing. You know, so I think migration as it is today is definitely something which is bad, and we don't need it. We need border control. We need strong states who decide who can step in and who cannot. That's the basic point.
As a country like Turkey, with I think one of the highest rates per capita of migrants living within its borders, what role do you see Turkey playing?
I think Turkey played the most important role in migration issue. So without Turkey, Europe would be totally destabilized because of migration. So Erdogan saved the continent at least 2 times in the last 8 years. So without having a stronghold leadership here in Turkey, we would be in a huge trouble. So we appreciate very much that the Turkish government is so committed to stop it and to manage it. I think we are not always fair to the Turkish government, because we promise a lot of things to Turkey if they are committed enough to help us on migration, and we are not fulfilling properly, not in right time. We pay too late, we don't pay exactly the same money we agreed, because we have to finance it, of course. So if it is our interest, the tough behavior, the strong behavior of the Turkish government, we have to share the economic burden of it, and I think European Union should be aware that we have to take it. We have to take some responsibility and help the Turkish government, and sometimes we are not properly do it. That's my impression.
Let's move on to NATO. Another thing you and Turkey have had in common have been reservations with regards to Sweden. Hungarian Parliament approved Sweden's bid on Monday. There have also, though, lengthy delays before Hungary was willing to agree to the EU's latest funding package for Ukraine. Some critics say that these are just delaying tactics and that this is a favour to your friend Vladimir Putin. What do you say to those critics?
Could we separate the two questions, my friend and the Swedish issue? Yeah? So the Swedish issue is very simple. We had quite a lot of discussions, strong disputes, sometimes heated disputes with the Swedish because of political reasons. In Brussels, we are regularly accused not to respect rule of law and so on. You know, we reject the same-sex marriage, we reject uncontrolled migration and all that kind of thing. So we are criticized for that in Brussels. And the Swedish were very active in that. And I said, guys, if you would like to join NATO, we have to rebuild the trust and the confidence between each other. So please come and do it. And then they came and we did. So that was about the national pride. It was not about tactics. You know, Hungary is a country. And Hungary is a nation. So
And
we have-
you're a leader, though. Is
So-
it not
so we have a
looking good for
pride.
you to be standing up to them?
No. The point was very clear from geopolitical point of view. If the Swedish decide to join, we will be positive. But there is a proper order how to do it. And you must respect Hungary. Without respecting Hungary, you can't belong to the same community where we are. It's impossible. Then my friend Putin.
Yes,
okay,
your friend Putin.
Don't forget. So that's a very cheap game anyway. So
But critics have made the point that not that at all, no one is accusing Hungary of being Russia's puppet, but that
No,
your
they do,
friendliness
they do.
with the Russian leader leads you to take a certain stance
No.
in
They
Brussels.
do regularly. It's quite regular to be called dog of Putin. That's my proud title. Or Trojan horse of Putin, or that kind of things. But
What do you say to that, though? How do you respond?
It requires psychotherapy. It's not a political discussion. So it's difficult to understand for many countries, especially for the progressive liberals, that when we look at the conflict between the war between Ukraine and Russia, the angle how we observe this war is a Hungarian one. So I don't wear the eyeglass of the Ukrainians or the eyeglass of Putin. I don't care with that. I have to represent the interest of my country and my nation. And I know what is the interest of Hungarians. And when something is good for the Hungarians, I support. When something is bad, I oppose it. So that's so simple. So if you would like to understand what we are doing, you can't understand from the point of view of Putin or the Zelensky. This is not the case. We are Hungarians. So behave like that.
All right, let's talk.
Don't forget, for example, that very few are aware of the fact that in Ukraine we have a quite strong Hungarian minority community. That certain part of Ukraine 100 years ago belonged to Hungary. When it was cut and created the Soviet Union, many Hungarians stayed where they were. They lived there for 1,000 years. And that community now belongs to Ukraine. And they are conscripted. So Hungarians are dying in the Ukrainian war. So don't forget, who are dying in the war is not just the Russians and the Ukrainians.
But those people identify as Ukrainian.
But several Hungarians died as well. And they belong to the Hungarian nation. They speak Hungarian language. They have our common history. So we feel being the same community members. So we have a special understanding of that. So peace means save Hungarian lives, not just lives generally, which is equally important anyway, but save Hungarian lives as well. That's one reason, beyond some others, why we are very much committed as Hungarians to the peace.
EU parliamentary elections coming up imminently.
More on the war? No more on the war?
Well, we're running out of time, Prime Minister. We've only got 15
But
minutes
this is
left.
the most
I've got so
important
many
point.
things to talk about.
No, but this is the most important point.
There's a lot of important things to talk about.
Okay, but because this is the question how we can get out of this. Probably as I'm the only European Union leader here in Antalya today, probably it's reasonable to discuss a little bit the European position on that. And I think we are in trouble.
We can circle back.
I think we are in trouble because when the war erupted and the Russian invasion started, except Hungary, all the other countries defined this war as our war. This is the term they use. This is our war. And if you consider a war as our war, and the opponents, the enemies, prove to be stronger than you are, and they are winning territories, gains, and positions on the front line, you belong to the losers. And it's very difficult to explain how to behave and how to get out of a situation when you lose a war. And the fact is that we Europeans, even Hungary is out of that behavior, but we Europeans lose the war together with the Ukrainians. And we don't know where is the way out, where is the exit of this conflict. So it's a serious issue, and that's paralyzed the European politics at this moment.
How do you think it should end? What is the exit
Okay.
strategy for this war?
Okay. Paralyzed morally, we have to understand how deep the problem is morally, paralyzed economically, and politically as well. I think we have to decide first on whose side the time is. That's the most important question. If you think that the time is on the Ukrainian and Western side, and to continue the war can provide military success for the Ukrainians, it's reasonable to continue. If you think that the time is more on the Russian side, and to continue war would mean and will bring more success to the Russians than to the Ukrainians, it's better to stop now. I belong to the second camp. I think that the time is on the Russian side. So the position by continuing the war will be not better for the poor Ukrainians, neither for Europe. So it's better to stop just now and to say, stop now where we are and start to negotiate ceasefire and peace talk immediately. All the other scenario is just produce worse position for us than where we are at this moment.
You, on this matter, on many other matters, you are at odds with your European counterparts. Where do you see Hungary's place in the EU now and in the future? Do you still see Hungary as part of the European Union?
Of course, if you are a Hungarian, you are European, you know. Okay, we are a member of Turkish Council because we are the only Eastern origin nation in Europe, or at least the only one which proud of it. You know, so basically we are the Huns, you know. Attila is a common name here in Turkey, and you know, so we are the fighters. So Hungary will have always a special geopolitical place in the European Union. If you look at the history of the wars in the last 300 years, all war went through Hungary, from south to the south, from west to the east, and so on. So geopolitically, we are not an important country, generally speaking, but because of the geographical position, sometimes in certain periods of history, we have a role. Anyway, Second World War, 56 Revolution, and so on. So the question is, what kind of European Union you imagine? So now what we have is a progressive, liberal, ideology-based Europe, which means God is out of political considerations. Nation and pride of nation is something suspicious, bad, awkward. Get rid of it. And family values are not respected as well because family does not exist anymore in Europe. They only understand families, which is, you know, configurations of various things, which we don't like anyway. So therefore, we belong to the opposition in the European Union. And this is the main point of this whole problem of European Union, because up to now, the integration of European Union was provided in a way that everybody must share the mainstream political approach to all the questions. And if you disagreed, you were forced to go back to the mainstream. But now, because the differences on values of progressive liberals and conservatives getting bigger and bigger, if they would like to integrate and manage the proper way of the European Union, everybody have to accept that opposition as such, I mean minority as such, exists. So we are not the same. Okay, we have many similarities, basic values written in the basic treaties. We are all common of that. But beyond that, on migration, on culture, on family, on nation, on international organization versus national sovereign states, we have differences. If you don't accept that differences, and we don't accept that we think differently on that issues, and even with that differences try to integrate the European Union, if you are not able to do that, European Union will be paralyzed. Now what we are doing is something that is not belonging to the mainstream is considered as bad, betraying the European values, blah, 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 blah.
So do you think you can continue to exist within the EU while you keep bumping up against them?
No, I'm fighting for majority. So no, I'm not would like to stay. I would like to get a majority against my German friends who are just sitting here inside the European Union, you know. And I would like to push the Germans to the minority. That's my plan. It's ambitious, quite ambitious. But, you know, on a conservative basis...
Well, you are predicting a swing to the right in the European Parliament. You're predicting a swing to the right.
No, this is the point. So I think for various reasons, the anti-establishment attitude and the mood in the European politics is quite common, which will be resulted in, by the end of the European election in June, in a parliament which has a different composition than it is today. We don't know exactly how it will look like, but it will be more stronger representation for the right, may I say, for the ECR, for the ED. Probably EPP will remain strong, but now it's a leftist character parliament. I think we will move more to the conservative approaches and conservative values, and that could create some changes. It's not a revolution, an overnight revolution or something like that, but a change could start by the election in June. That's my hope, at least, and I'm working on this, and I try to play a role to unify the right and the middle of the right, to be unified in one political cap and swept away the socialist, leftist, progressive, liberals, dangerous guys.
Well, watch this space come June. There are reports you're on your way to Florida, Mr. Prime Minister, to meet former President Donald Trump next week. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, it's first of all, I respect him very much. That's the personal part of it. I like mavericks, and he is like that. One of the most boring element of my profession, that the leaders getting more and more boring. So we need refreshing new guys. Because the political elite reproduce itself. If you look at the speeches, the logic of arguments, the literature they refer to, all that kind of thing is very, very much the same. So I'm very happy that somebody's coming from outside. And he is that kind of man, maverick, as we say. Probably it's an understandable term here as well. So that's good for our profession. Because political leadership is for everybody. It's the most competitive job. If always the professors and intellectuals and all that kind of guys are part of the elite, it's not good. All kind of different people, if they have talent, should play a role in that.
Are you going to see him in Florida next week?
Yes. So, sorry, but there's another point as well. I'm also convinced that if at the time of breaking out of Russian invasion on Ukraine, Trump would have been the president of the United States, there would be no war now, I'm absolutely sure. So a strong president of the United States can stop any war which somehow related to Europe, I'm sure. And if I try to understand what kind of chances we have for the peace, the only serious chance for peace now, if he is able to come back and to make a peace. That's my only hope. Otherwise, the war between Ukraine and Russia will be long, getting closer and closer to Hungary, and creating more and more strong dilemmas for the European politics. So Trump back is a precondition for strong and quick peace in the European continent. So that's the reason I'm always positive to cooperate with him.
Can you elaborate on your meeting? Can you tell us how it came about? Who requested the meeting? Was it on your behalf or Mr. Trump's, President Trump's?
I met him last time as well.
But this upcoming visit?
We will discuss mainly the war, I'm sure. Because from a Hungarian point of view, this is the most important issue. If he is back, whether he has any idea how to stop the war, this is the most important for me.
Do you intend to meet President Biden on your visit to the United States?
I'm always at his disposal.
Obviously, then, it goes without saying that you are backing President Trump for the White House?
I can't say backing because, who is the President of the United States must be decided by the Americans. So I cannot be involved too much into that because it's a lack of respect. Yeah? So I don't like that. But of course, from a Hungarian point of view, probably I have the right to say that from a Hungarian point of view and from the point of view of the peace, comeback of Trump is more than desired. That's all. So I would not like to argue, to convince anybody in the United States to vote for whom. It's not my job.
You say that if President Trump was in the White House, there would be no war. What about the situation in Israel, between Israel and Hamas? If President Trump was in the White House, would we have seen that conflict escalate?
I am convinced exactly the same way.
Why?
Because without America, you cannot make peace in Middle East. It's impossible. So America must play a role. If America do not play a role or does not play a role, the chance for peace is very limited. And don't forget that Trump was the president who created the last promising political project of Abraham Accords after long failed attempts. So he has an understanding of the conflict, he has an understanding of the situation, and he did something which generated some hope. But now we are in trouble, so I think we need him in Israel and Gaza Strip as well.
Okay, we only have about 1 minute left, so let me quickly just ask you, Hungary is taking on the rotating EU presidency come July. What can we expect and what will be Hungary's priorities?
First of all, we have to get the job. You know, not everybody is amazed by that next half a year, and rumors are coming up, and political projects as well sometimes, that probably they should manage somehow not Hungary providing the presidency. So first, we have to get the job. So I try to behave properly. Otherwise, you know, some rescheduling could happen against our interests. That's first. Second, enlargement is a priority. Enlargement is not a Ukrainian enlargement first in my mind, because Ukraine is a let's say, new enlargement job. But we have an old enlargement job, and it's about Balkan. So enlargement is very important. Second, the issue we were not able to touch upon because of the limited time, unfortunately, is competitiveness. Because we Europeans suffer a lot, because we lose competitiveness for various reasons. So therefore, we try to generate some boom for improving competitiveness of the European economy as well. We are pro-market guys.
Well, it's going to be very interesting. I wish we had more time. Unfortunately, you have very pressing commitments. So we will wrap it up there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban.